ICT Functional Skills Excel Basics. Topics you need to know. You need to know what is a spreadsheet. It's about entering data, formatting your data, saving your workbook, and filling cells in automatically. Now we're going to look at some of the basics in Excel and spreadsheets that you need to know for the exam. Now when you first open up Excel, you'll see this page, and you give the option to choose from various templates or to create a blank workbook. Now I've opened a blank workbook, and a workbook is made up of worksheets. You can see there's sheet 1 here, and you can create more sheets by clicking this button. And you can create as many as you need to do your task. Now a worksheet is made up of columns identified by the letters, and rows identified by the numbers. Now when a column and a row interject, you get a cell. In this case I'm clicking in cell C3. So I'm in column C and row 3. Now when it comes to entering data, you can simply just click in the cell and type. And when you press enter, you go down. When you press tab, you go across. And if you use shift and enter, you go up. If you use shift and tab, you go left instead of right. And you'll notice here that the text values within Excel are naturally left aligned, and values that it recognises, numerical values, is right aligned. And if for any reason you've entered a numerical value and it's left aligned, you've either formatted it that way or it doesn't recognise its numerical value, and that's worth considering when you start doing formulas later on. Now one of the things, like anything else, you also need to format your data to make certain things stand out. First you need to select the range in which you wish to format, and then on the home ribbon you have this font pane just here, and you can make things bold, and you can highlight them in certain colours as you need. Obviously don't go overboard, but if you need to draw certain attention to things, then that's one possible way of doing it. Okay, another way, if I select the range I wish to change and right click within that range, I get the option to format the cells here. And this gives me a wide range of number formats, alignment to the text, various types of font changes, adding a border to my range, and changing the fill colour as well, so I can get rid of that again. There is also an option for protection, but this is a feature you look into at much later dates. Like with any file, the main thing you need to do is save your work and save it regularly. So if I go to File, and the first time I do this will be the same as Save As, but it doesn't matter which one I click. Where do I want to save it? And always be sure at this point you know where it is it's being saved. Okay, and that's now saved. I didn't rename it, so it's still called Book 1. If I wanted to change anything, I'd now have to go to Save As, because you'll notice if I just go to Save, it just saves my content. So if I wanted to create a version 2 for any reason, I go back to Save As. Let's just say I call this 2 for now. You'll notice it's saying saved as an Excel workbook, and that's a .xlsx, which is the latest version of Excel, and it means that all the latest features will be saved. If for any reason you'll see just XLS, any new features you'll use may not necessarily be saved because the old file type won't recognise it. It's worth bearing that in mind if you open up old content. Another file type you may come across is CSV, and this is quite good for downloading data and uploading basic content somewhere else. Bear in mind, formatting and formulas are not saved through this, it's just the actual content values themselves. Okay, so if I click Save again now, I've now changed my file and called it something else. Now another thing we need to look at is filling cells automatically, and this can be quite useful for shortcuts. One possible feature is the day of the week. When I click in the cell, if I go to the bottom right hand side, you see my cursor has changed to a thin cross. If I drag that down, you can be able to tell by the preview, I can create automatically the days of the week. This works the same for abbreviations, in this case months, You can see by the preview there it's going to work. And I can also do this for a date as well. And I can drag out certain date ranges. You can do this with unique references and many other features. You can also find out more by this fill feature just over here, but that goes into quite a lot of depth. If you start doing your formulas, the one thing you need to be aware of is if the values you're referring to, whether or not they're relative, as in they're going to change as you drag down or across, or they're absolute, or you may want to keep certain things the same. That could be, for example, of a certain value in one cell where you want all your formulas to refer to that value. So relative will change, absolute you may want to keep certain values to stay the same, stay looking at the same place. And that's really the basics you need to know about Excel before you start looking at tutorials. I would practice with that a little bit first. Once you feel a bit more familiar with it, either with using a mouse or a keyboard, then possibly start looking at other tutorials and start learning some of the other features. Practice task. Practice entering some data, maybe some of your favourite films and their actors. Format your data and explore all the options. Think about how they can be used for different tasks. Save your file early on and as you make changes. Then, separately, practice filling cells automatically by typing Jan and move your cursor to the bottom of that cell until your cursor turns to a thin cross. Then you can click and fill or drag down a few cells to see what happens.